Solo.
And hello! Welcome to Solo Playthroughs! We have a good one to start the week with Veilwraith. The review copy was sent to me by hallornothingproductions. Last time, they just sent me the base game. And I said, well, I like it. It doesn't feel like a complete game, partially because they sent me a box that only like 25% of it was filled up. And I reached out to them and said, look, I'd be happy to feature the expansion, which is Absolution, if you want to send it to me. Otherwise, I'll loop back. And they were like, nope, definitely. They sent me Absolution, and they sent me this amazing playmat. And publishers publishers who don't send me this stuff that gives me the opportunity to show off their game at its best, always, especially on camera, if you have like a visual thing, it always like makes me like curious, like why would you not show your game off at your best and promote another product that seems like a thing you want to do. This playmat is awesome. Like, I am not a playmat guy. This is not converting me to be a playmat guy, but for a game like this is absolutely super important to the gameplay. It just spaces everything out very, very nicely, and just the way this particular game plays, if you like this game, I think you really just should get the playmat. I mean, frankly, that's it. The expansion does fill out the game. I do think a lot of the expansion content, some of it, if not all of it, should have been in the base game. I know that would have jacked up the price point. I get all of that. But the base game does feel incomplete. The expansion does make it complete. Most of that's awesome. Some of that's not so awesome. I have very mixed opinions of Veilwraith. Probably still as positive about it as I was before I had the expansion, but the expansion does add some wrinkles that make me feel like, okay. But it's good, it's quick. If you grew up being a solitaire player like me, I think this game really fits a nice niche. Unfortunately, some of the problems with solitaire do come out with this game as well. And I don't know. There's a lot of variants. There's a lot of things that I will talk about as we go. I think just best to get into the gameplay and see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited. So I was gonna try to get up to like in somewhere in the teens as to what vignette to show off. There are 5 vignettes in the base game. The expansion adds 15 more vignettes. I got stuck on a couple of vignettes, and there's a couple of reasons for that, and we'll talk about that. So we're actually only at vignette 9, which is fine, but I think 9 is a good example of both the great things about this game and the things that I think could have been tweaked a little bit differently than they were to make this a better experience. But this, if you love this game as is, I totally get that, man, and that's great for you. I do think a second a Veilwraith 2.0, I think might be more what I would want this game to be, or the potential I see in it. But for me, this doesn't hit on all cylinders. I mean, this is not a forever Greg game. In contrast to Gloom of Kilforth, another Hall of Nothing game, another game that was sent to me as a review copy. That game, I love that game. It replaced Darkest Night Second Edition, which is was already on the way out the door for me. Gloom of Kilforth, I think, is fantastic, and there's a reason why we're on the 3rd edition of Kilforth. Now, Veilwraith, I had played Veilwraith before I played Gloom of Kilforth. Obviously, I've learned that it's set in the same universe, which is super interesting. I still really like the art. Again, I like the gameplay, and I should stop yammering and just get to it. Saget, just to balance out Brian's enthusiasm, this game looks like complete trash to me. Saget starting the week feisty. I unfortunately cannot see Brian's comment. I am going to zoom into my ugly mug a little bit closer here. So I did see Brian's comments. So I don't know what Brian said, but that makes me laugh. It is not utter trash. That is for sure. I have played many hours of Veilwraith in the last few days. Kanji, what's up, sir? Veilwraith, let's do this. For those who don't know, Kanji has his own channel, does some cool stuff. You should check him out. Eggers Pekka, hi. Kadazu, hello. Kanji Studios, Fear Vignette 6 and 7. Yeah, man. I mean, you get into Absolution and you're like, I mean, 6, yeah, I was definitely stuck for a minute. And 9, I'm just stuck on too. And again, there's some more to that too. Brian says, hi, Kanji Studios. Love to see the playmat. Hi, Greg. Hello, sir. Kanzu, Tristan Hall, between this and Killforth is making some of the best looking games. I feel Veilwraith is the only game I'm using a dedicated playmat. Makes sense. Kanji says hi to Brian. Sajid, this playmat is also very dark. So is this whole game. Dark and dark. 60 to 90% grays everywhere. Half waiting for the girl in the red coat to show up. Grill Manor is the next expansion in this genre, says Kanji. Yeah, I saw that. It definitely has my interest. We will see if I have enough room on my shelf and in my my heart for more All or Nothing. And Sajid says, may a manticore sit upon your roof? Oh shit! If that really happens, dude, that'd be amazing. All right, so one more thought before we kind of get into setup here and whatnot. So I when I put the base game on the channel, I smushed it, which was just the randomness of cards, like just things went my way. And one of the things I said in the base about the base game, which I think is still true. If you only have the base game. So as you start upgrading cards, I mean, the whole idea of this game is that you have this deck of 20 cards, and then every time you beat a vignette, you take out one card and you replace it with an upgraded card, and the upgraded cards really do change the balance. I mean, you have 20 cards in your deck, right? So every card you take out, you're making 5% of your deck a lot better. And once you got to 2 or 3 vignettes, all of a sudden you had these 3 really strong cards compared to the rest that I found vignettes 3, 4, and 5 really kind of easy. And it just was like one of the concern, like not easy, like they were close, but I wasn't ever like totally close to losing. But you still had to like, play optimally and whatever. And again, some of that was just could have been just dumb luck and variance, going my way. And Tristan was like, you got to play on Nightmare mode. And Nightmare mode is a mode where instead of like taking a card out and getting a new one, you only do one every turn. So the first time you take one card out, the second time you add a new one, the third time you take a card out, the fourth time you add a new one. There's 2 problems with that. One, getting new cards is part of the fun of the game. So you're giving me a nightmare mode where it's like, okay, but then I'm not really experiencing the fun parts, right? Like I want new cards, I want new abilities, I want new skills. Fine, but I tried it on nightmare mode. I got through the 5 base scenarios, even on nightmare mode. It seemed fine. Then I got to scenario 6 or vignette 6, and I was like, nightmare mode isn't going to cut it. Like, there's no way your deck is going to be good enough to be able to beat what happens in Absolution. And like, to be clear, I was like, you know what? All right, I learned the game better. I learned how to play better. And I finally did get through vignette 6 on nightmare mode with only half the upgrades on my deck that I should have had. I was like, maybe it's just vignette 6. Let me get the vignette 7. And vignette 7 is like, no. I mean, all these vignettes are so freaking hard that if you're playing on nightmare mode, like, you're just never going to have a strong enough deck to be able to take on these challenges, barring dumb luck as you go. So I'm like, that's not fun to me. So I went off nightmare mode. I took the extra upgrades I should have. And then I beat vignette 8 on my first try, and I got to vignette 9, and I've been stuck on vignette 9 for about 6 or 7 attempts, which gets to the second part that I have about this game is like the ribbon system. These are ribbons. If you lose, you're supposed to lose a ribbon. If you lose again, you're supposed to lose a ribbon. And if you lose all your ribbons, you just lose the campaign. It's supposed to start over. I will never give one crap about the ribbon system. I will never play with it. I don't care about it. I find it a weird design choice. I think the whole idea of like losing campaigns is just really dated. Like, you're not going to want to play 15 vignettes of a campaign. Oh, I lost my last ribbon. Oh, I'm going to start all over. No, you're not doing that. You're just mulliganing it, unless you're just like of a certain type of person and that's just how you play. God bless you. Look, if these scenarios were all like relatively beatable, if you just like figure out the puzzle, great. The thing is, you're gonna lose half the time based on dumb luck of how the deck is set up in the beginning. So you're giving me a lot of dumb luck and a ribbon system. That's just you're wasting a lot of design space. And like, I mean, for instance, what was the last one? Like some of the vignettes, like your reward, you get an extra reward. It's like you get another ribbon. I don't care about the ribbons. I'm not playing with the ribbons anyway. And then some of the hard modes are like it's all about how many ribbons you start with. But you can't give me like and the whole you want to beat the whole campaign starting with one ribbon. Like it's just that's not happening unless you're just the luckiest person in the world on that day or week, whatever, however long it takes you to play through it. Like that's just not realistic. So like I would do without the ribbons. This let me keep playing until I beat a scenario. This whole idea of permadeath, full restart of a campaign, none of that's ever going to work for me, right? So I think for me going into this, like, well, I'm already ignoring 15% of the 10%, 15% of the design, whatever it, because it is a big part of the rules, like all about this ribbon crap, which I'm like, I'm just gonna mulligan. I'm never gonna care about those ribbons. So they look nice. There's a space on them for the mat on the mat, but great. That is what it is. They're just gonna stay there forever. If I lose, I'm just gonna restart. Like the very vignette I'm on. I'm not restarting from the very beginning and having to go back and undo my upgrades and all that stuff. So I'm going into vignette 9. One of the scenarios gave you a second upgrade. So I do have 9 upgraded cards. There actually are 9 level 2 cards that come with the game. So I have one of each of them, which probably isn't an optimal build for my deck. I probably could have did a little more specializing, but it is what it is. At least we get all the content on the channel. There also is one upgraded action, whereas so these can be upgraded at some point. I wish if you're gonna make these vignettes so damn hard, I wish there was more. Like all of these should be upgraded at this point. I mean, this vignette is really, really hard. But we'll see how that plays out. But this action now, at any point, I could turn this over to get 5 of those +1 tokens. You are maxed out at 5 at any one time, so we'll have to, figure out a good timing for that. I will probably use this really early. There is a good chance for running this back twice, or once at least. Maybe we'll run it back a third and have a third playthrough at some point, if depending on time and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this campaign. To be honest with you, like it's definitely one of those things that you will beat it eventually, but you're kind of waiting for your deck to come out right and for the threat deck to come out right. And sometimes that's just not gonna be possible. You'll note that I did put the, this is supposed to go here. Like these things come with the Absolution. They're freaking awesome. They're nice reminders as like the special rules of scenarios and stuff. I'm gonna put my deck a little off so I can have space for my hand down here. You're limited to 6 cards in your hand at a time. There's like a lot of rules I just like wish like that 6 card hand limit is probably not necessary. It's really hard to get cards. Like some of the rules I feel like you're just making rules to make it harder that aren't making it better. And like that's a thing. Like this scenario, like you're giving me 6 foes. Most scenarios only have 4, but now I have 6 foes, and if I'm trying to get rid of a key, I have to get +1 to my Explorer. Like, why? Like, why are you keep layering on extra difficulty? Were you having playtesters that were finding this too easy? Because if you had playtesters that were finding this too easy, like, I need to know who your playtesters are, because they're the greatest board game minds I've ever heard of. So I don't understand some of the choices, especially on Vignette 9 when your deck is not that souped up. Now there are level 3 cards. I mean, I think if you're going a more optimal build strategy, I probably should have chosen some of those. But that also raises a question for me, like if there's an optimal build and like really only one build that's going to help you really get through this easily, then that's a whole other thing, right? Like then why do you give me so many cards if there's really only one way to build this to get through it? Or again, different questions that I ask. All right, we are going to have, we're going to take all these keys. We're going to make 5 mini piles of 6 cards each. So the keys range from 4 to 8 Explore, but in this scenario, they're going to be 5 to 9 Explore. 9 Explore is bananas, but that's fine. We're going to put these out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to take the 2 of the foes are the Veil Seers. One of them is another thing that drives me a little bit nuts. Like you have a lot of variance within the foes. These aren't that bad. It's a 6 influence versus a 7 explorer, or a 7 influence versus a 6 explorer. Wait till we get to the Anis, which are like, all right, well, if you're gonna make them that varied, like, you have to tell me what stack to put them in. There's so much randomness, like, that sometimes it's so unbelievably punishing. I mean, you'll have games if you get the 7/5 Ani and he's the first card you pull off in the game, just reset. Like, you're not gonna win. It's an absolute waste of your time to play it out. Like, at least in my experience, it's not like you have health coming out of it's not like it's easy to get health in this game. Like, you have 20 health, 20 spirit, I should say, and that spirit is going to be attacked from the very first turn of the game through the very end. It's unbelievable that you're just like, oh, here you go. Here's this one Ani that you could probably beat on turn 1, and here's this, oh, not really. But here's this one Ani you could probably beat on turn 2, and here's another Ani that's going to take half your health away before you destroy him on turn 3. Like, this is not a cool way to play. All right, so 1, 2, 4, and 5. I'm going to shuffle up this deck of threats. Now, the threat deck, so the foes are down here. The threats are going to be everything up here. So we have 2 butchers, 1 champion, 1 charger, 2 chevaliers, 2 cutthroats, 2 explorers, 2 healers, 2 jokers, 2 keepers, and 2 principals. Some of these are just, the jokers are just downright unfair as far as I'm concerned. They're an absolute terrible design choice. It's like, they just, again, some of these cards are just so game breaking, and if you get them at the wrong time, like, if you're gonna, I just think there should be less variance. I would have been much more interested. Tell me exactly how this deck is gonna go. Tell me where or at least if you want to tell me, hey, in the first section put 1 joker and 2, like, give me some idea of what's coming up, because your ability to plan for what you're about to face, you can't really do it for the most part. You're just down to some level of dumb luck, and that dumb luck just permeates so many levels of this design that, again, it's a really fun gameplay with a really not fun layer of, if I win, I just feel like, oh, because I finally got lucky. Like, I don't think there's enough balance in how all of these things are put together. So I think that's going to be enough negativity from me for a minute, and I'll just get into what I enjoy about the game, which indeed is the gameplay. Kanazu, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, dude. If you want to give me a pronunciation guide, that'd be really helpful. Kanji, your recent rules explanation made me go back to Gloom and Killforth earlier today. Great work. Kanji says thanks. Granted, it was helpful. Killforth is the best. Sajit, Bride's God, you do realize that if my Manticore sits on my roof, she will be friendly to me? Kanji says scenario 6 is a gun check. I made it to vignette 17, I think. Good job. Sajid says, I believe it's you fellas. Cheers. Have a good day, sir. Kanji says later. Brian says, take care. Brian says, one house rule I made was every time I failed a vignette, I could upgrade a number or a card. It does help. Yeah. Oh, no, I could see it. No, the math, like, the fact that I haven't upgraded any of these, I'm already on vignette 9, is crazy. It's like they're so stingy on the upgrades, and it doesn't make any sense, because you made these vignettes so hard. Why are you so stingy on the upgrades? And it's not like there's, like, when all the rules of levels of play are all about these stupid ribbons. Like, or the nightmare mode when you're only getting half the upgrades, which is crazy because you're already so stingy on them anyway. I mean, I think it's scenario. Yeah, scenario two. The next one is like, you don't even get an upgrade. It's like, what? Like, I don't even get a memory. Like, why? Like, like, there's only 20 scenarios, and I think 3 or 4 of them down the stretch are like no upgrade. All right, well then make the scenarios not as hard, right? Make the vignettes not as hard. Like, I don't want to have to play every vignette 20 times, especially when you have this ribbon system. Like, I want to play this vignette 4 times. That's reasonable for me. Like, because 80 games, get through a campaign, then yeah, I like it. I'll play it again. It's fun. I'll teach it to my friends. It'll be great. But it's just a lot of less than fertility, because again, as Brian says, my biggest issue with the game is that it really depends on how lucky you can shuffle. Yeah, and that shuffling goes not only for your cards, but also how lucky can you shuffle the threat decks, because you get the bad combination of these threat decks early, and it is game over. from the jump. We are in the black gates. I will do the little bit of flavor text that's on the back of this. It is seeing stones and cursed charms could not save them from the devils and demons he gave them. He gave them. Who is he? I'm assuming it's the Archfiend. Remember, the Archfiend just sits over here looking pretty. The Archfiend will get added to the threat deck if we ever go through the entirety of the threat deck, and then we shuffle. And then again, more randomness. If he comes out after you've reshuffled, then you die. That's if you're gonna do that. I don't understand why you have the last. You should have a little bit more control over where the last key is placed, because the last key could be the last card in the deck, and then at that point you're definitely going to have to at least probably have to pull two or three more times before the portal comes out. Yeah, it's a lot of randomness, man. Like, the game is like so good. There's a lot of really interesting ideas. So all this other stuff like frustrates me. If I'm frustrated about a game, there was one of two things. There's like either like the game is like really bad, like I just don't like Robinson Crusoe. I don't understand why people like that game. I just don't like the design. There's nothing about that game that really appeals to me. After my initial honeymoon period with the game, I just was like, oh my gosh, this game is like an absolute. The player decision space is so friggin' tiny. Here, this game actually gives you a lot of interesting decisions, right? So for me, again, the two times the things that frustrate me are the ones that are just really bad, and then the ones that frustrate me probably more are the ones that are like so close to being great, and then they make these weird choices that I'm like, oh, it's like just not a satisfying experience. I think recently, I mean, you go back to Siege of Valeria, like Siege of Valeria. I played the base game. I was like, oh, this is cool. Probably needs a little bit more. And then I added the expansion. I was like, you just totally cheesed it. And now it's like too easy, right? Like, that's super weird decision. And it's not even a campaign, really. But, I digress. It's a campaign of 3 successive games that are the same exact thing. All right. Did I shuffle my deck? I don't know if I shuffled my deck or not. I'm going to shuffle it one more time just for kicks. I also think it's kind of silly that you don't start with a card in your hand. I mean, even one. Like, one card could go a long way. You give me the chance to combine on the very first turn. So I think, like, that's a weird decision. Like, there's just so many things about, like, how hard. It's like this wasn't. It was play tested by people who weren't playing by the right rules, or they made some final tweaks because it was too easy, so they made some final tweaks, and then it didn't have another round of playtesting or whatever. But I do think that this scales hard in a way that just really makes it more of a luck game than a skill game, in a way that will always limit where this game sits for me long term, for sure. Kanji says, oh, I didn't know you didn't like Robinson Crusoe. I can understand why. I like it. Yeah, dude. Crusoe was on my first top 10 video a long time ago. And I think Crusoe, part of the problem I have with Crusoe is if you had just given me the first two, scenario 2 is not great. If you gave me a box with like scenario 1 and scenario 3 and maybe even 4, I would have been like, okay, it's a solid game, it's fine. I find 5, 6, and 7 so not fun, and I don't like 2 really that much either. I just find so much of that game is on rails, where if I approach it like an escape room game, right, where it's like, hey, we need to figure out the puzzle and then see if we can get lucky enough to win. It's almost like Time Stories. Like, figure out the puzzle, do what you need to do if you can win. You have some dice rolls. Crusoe has such a small space for like interesting player decisions that if you've played a scenario once or twice, like, all right, cool, we know what we need to do, and then it's all down to utter randomness with the lucks of the dice rolls. And like, I guess you could say that about some games, but I think Rousseau takes that to another level because the action economy is so absurdly tight that you are forced to have to get lucky. And if those dice are like so punishing that there's just a lot about that Crusoe that drives me nuts. Plus, it does the thing that I hate among the most in games, where it's like it just trolls you so bad, and the action economy just is too tight for me to do this thing where, oh, I find gold, but gold is useless on the island. It's like, that's not funny to me. It's not fun to me. It's like I used my very precious action economy to do this thing. I rolled well enough to actually succeed, or I used two of my action economies to do this thing, and then you gave me no reward at all. Like that, like never fits well with me. And Gloomy Killfort does a little bit of that. I find that a really, really like dated design choice, and it almost is more of like the designer. I feel like the designers start when they're designing cooperative or solo games, they just start to take it personally, where it's like they assume this adversarial relationship with the player. I read an article once about this too, and I wish I find I knew where the link was, because I think I would post it on like half my videos. But it was all about like how, one of the biggest problems with solo games is designers that do things that don't really advance the game at all, but they just are totally adversarial. Where it's like, I'm going to kick you in the balls now, and it's like, but why? Thematically, why? I mean, I guess thematically maybe isn't the right answer. Like sometimes thematically, it's like, oh, I could see why that does that, but it does nothing to advance the game. It does nothing to make the game more interesting, and it does nothing to. It throws the risk reward relationship off, or the opportunity cost to reward relationships so off that it just makes your game more of a drag. And you know, those moments don't make me want to play your game more. They want me to make you play your game a lot less. And I think that if you're putting player experience at the front, right? Like, look, I'm all about a hard game. I'm all about games where I lose. I love Dawn of the Zeds. I lose to the game more than I win. I love Uprising. I lose to the game more than I win. But those games don't do super punishing things, right? If you roll well, you get a success. Things happen. Like you don't roll well, and all of a sudden, hey, you rolled well, but it didn't matter because we're gonna totally troll you. But that's my my soapbox speaks for the day. Um, the game is quite brutal for sure, says Kanji. I wonder your thoughts on Frostpunk. Then I'm super interested in how I'm going to feel about Frostpunk. Joey actually sent me the retail version, so I'm excited to test it out. I do like Twam a lot. Um, so I don't, I had to get rid of Twam because I just found it a little bit too heavy for me. So I think the idea of management, we'll see. If it does the trolling thing, I'm gonna hate that a lot. But if it's just like bleak and hard, like I'm fine with that. Um, if it's bleak hard with just give me an interesting decision space where I don't feel like my efforts are meaningless because you decided to be cute, right? Like that stuff doesn't feel good for me. Siege of Valeria expansion is easy. I've never lost base game less than 13 points. An expansion with bad enemy draw can be brutal. Those siege engine activations while out of range are a pain. Yeah, man, I found the expansion real easy. I just think it, because here's the problem. Like I felt the expansion, it made it to the point that you did not care about holding on to those cards. So I can use all of my abilities because I don't have to worry about the scoring. Yeah, I found the expansion made it really easy, for sure. And I also didn't love how um, I I think there was so much more space. Like if you're giving me sequential battles that are supposed to be in 3 different locations, I don't know why the forts don't behave a little bit differently. I yeah, I put a lot more thought into like my playthrough video, but yeah, I found the expansion when I'm using all of those abilities, because I got so used to not using those abilities when I was playing the base game, that all of a sudden like, oh, I don't have to hold on to any of these cards. I can use them all willy nilly because this isn't a score based thing anymore. This is like literally just win. Yeah, I don't think I don't think I ever lost an expansion. Most of the time when I lost the base game is because I was holding on to abilities trying to go for a score, and that tension now all of a sudden entirely went away. And you start with those 3 starter champions. I mean, maybe I was playing something wrong. I don't know, man. Kinezio, you can check out my playthrough video and see. Maybe I was doing something wrong, but I did not find the expansion to be all that challenging. Yeah, I know that card. It does hurt. It will troll you. It's hard though. That's fine. As long as it doesn't troll me, that's fine. Dude, I like hard games. I mean, if you look at the levels I play Maze Night Out, the levels I play Spirit Island at, I'm not opposed to losing. And I could still lose and have a blast. It's just, you know, getting kicked in the balls for no reason in a way that's not fun is not, what I want to be doing with my gaming time. All right. I digress. We have talked long enough. This is a little, let's see if I can tweak this brightness a wee bit. Try to get a little lighter because it's a dark game. Don't make the mistake, but it can be a little bit lighter. How does this look? Is that better or worse? I can't tell. Probably neutral, Greg. Probably overthinking it. We'll go with it. All right. So it's like, I don't see anything. You didn't do anything, Greg. Whatever. Oh, I need you. Come back. Riveting television. All right, let's make it happen. So, first round of the game. Am I going to restart? No, that's not a bad card to get. So we have our keeper. So we pull a card out of the threat deck. That is the keeper. She is a Deja. Of course she is. And she has an ability says Ken. Defeat. Add one memory from your discard pile to your hand. So we best get a memory in a discard pile that we want to get again so we can make use of that. Now we go to the draw phase. I'm going to draw one card. I'm going to put it over here. And we have the Memory of Elements. This is an upgraded card, so it has a combined value of 2. We'll talk about combine later. I'm going to put this into my discard and get 2 more memories. That is an excellent card draw for the first turn of the game. So we have Memory of Home. Memory of Home gives me 1, 2, an exploration action, and it has a combined value of 1. It's a basic thing. We get another memory. We have the Memory of Veil. Gives me 2 toward an exploration action, and it has a combined value of 1. But we either need 7 influence or 6 fight to take out the keeper. So neither of these are going to help me much with that. We're going to do our first turn of the game. Now, I want to hold on to these 2 actions to make sure I kill the foe in the first section of the game. Now, most of the time, you don't have a foe in section 1. This scenario decides that we're going to give you not only 5 foes or 6 foes, we're also going to throw one in section 1 just to make it super fun for you. Great. So I'm going to do my play phase. In a play phase, I can use one action. I can use an action to either do what it says, explore, fight, or influence, or I can just use it to get me another card. So I get a card. We have the Memory of Fate. It is an upgraded memory. I can gain a spirit, and then I get +2 to an influence action, or I can use it for a combined value, and that combined value is a 2. The combined value is when I take 2 cards, I discard them, and it adds the lower amount on either card. So in this case, if I added those 2 cards to an action, it would give me +1 wild, essentially, because I could use it for influence, fight, or explore. So I drew a card, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to... probably going to have an easier time getting to the 7. Next thing I'm going to do is going to tilt. When you tilt the card, you can add a +1 to it, and that's all she wrote. I would really like to get a card that gives me a extra available action, because if the Ani comes out, I'm going to try to kill them right off the bat. That might be hard. Actually, let me tilt the fight. Let me think through this a little bit better, because I can get up to 5 with influence already, but right now my fight's stuck in the level 2. Again, the value is where it is, so this is a 1 explore, a 2 fight, a 3 influence at a base, and then you add additional cards to that. So let me get a power token on the fight, and now in theory that can get up to a 3. That's the end of my turn. We go to the spirit phase. The spirit phase, I lose 1 spirit because that keeper is there. We're going to ready all my stuff, and then we go to the next round. We're going to go to the threat phase. Oh, crap. I should have added it to this, like I thought. The principal. So, threat Deja priority. She must be defeated before any other Deja threats in play. That's a Deja, so I can't defeat her till I defeat her. And she has a spirit hit of 2 if she's still alive after my play phase. We go to the draw phase. I'm going to draw a card. It is the Memory of Blood. So that's not exactly what I needed to kill the principal, so that's a little rough. And now we go to the play phase. Now again, I'm limited to 6 cards here, so I probably should have laid this out, but I'm going to put this pile here and this discard pile off the screen as well. That way I can lay out all my cards a little bit neater. Fantastic. So I have 4 cards in my hand, but I still cannot. Oh, I can combine. That's bad. I should have thought through this more. Yeah, I want the principal to go away because she's super annoying. And I don't have anything that gives me an additional action yet, which isn't great. So we're going to combine for the first turn, which is not something I would normally want to do, but we're going to spend the influence action to use it I'm going to play the Memory of Fate. That gives me a +1 to my spirit, so I'm back to 20. And then I'm going to combine these two explore actions, which I might regret later, but I desperate times have to, desperate times, desperate measures, kids. So that's going to go there. And then I'm going to tilt the fight action to get that to +1. Well, first let me carry out this action. So that gives me a total of 5, 6 because of this combine. So I have very few cards in my hand, which isn't great. These move up. This comes here. Whenever you use an action, it moves into the one spot. This stayed in the one spot because I used it in the one spot when I drew a card last turn. So that's all good. So I've done enough to defeat the principal. Bye-bye. These are all going to come. Oh, sorry. And then we're going to do a tilt action. We do the spirit phase. I lose 1 spirit because the keeper's there. And then in kind of the end phase, any cards I use all go in my discard pile. And we're going to ready everything else. So I have 1 card in my hand, not exactly great, and I don't have any card that gives me an additional action yet. So we know in the top 4 cards of this deck, one of these is the Ani, who's the foe, and one of these is the key that's in the top 5th of the deck, and hopefully the key comes out first, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. The third phase, threat phase, it is the key. Look at me getting lucky. That's super nice. We go to the draw phase. I draw a second card. It is the Memory of Strength. So I'm really good on fight. Not so good on influence, so we're going to definitely need to fix that. Is there any influence in here? There is. I'm tempted to try to get that back out and just hope the Ani is not the next card, or at least I get something that helps me move things. So I'm going to, because I want to get the key too. Woof. Nothing that gives me another action. I could get that, which gives me another action. It's a 50-50. I'm sorry. No, the Ani, there's 3 more cards. So the Ani, there's a good chance the Ani is not next. Right? So I'm going to have to gamble the Ani is not the next card in the deck. I'm going to use this fight action. I'm going to use this. So that's 3, 4, 5, because I'm spending those power tokens. If I could choose not to spend the power tokens and use the Memory of Strength, but I want to hold on to the Memory of Strength. These move over, and I've done enough to defeat the Keeper. Oh, the Keeper's, I'm sorry, she only needs 6. She doesn't even need 7. So I can actually leave one of those there, because it was 3. I spent 1, 4, 5, 6. We defeated the Keeper. I can add a card from my discard pile to my hand. I'm going to add the Memory of Fear, which gives me +1 spirit and +2 to my influence, because I definitely am a little light on influence. All right, and I'm going to need the influence for when the Ani comes out, because, Ani, Oni, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. It is what it is. Now I'm also going to tilt the influence action and get a +1 on that. In the threat phase, nothing attacks me, so we're good. In the end phase, I'm going to discard this and ready both of these. Let me check the chat. I don't think I ever combine cards to use their additional value. Oh no, I'm being sent to the principal's office again. I must finish watching later. Back to work. Good luck, Greg. Bye all. Later, Brian. We go to the threat phase. Don't be the Ani. Oh, that's the worst. It's really bad. The problem with the Ani being there is I cannot use this explore action. I have no additional actions too, which is not great. So the explore action is basically stuck here unless I have something that lets me rearrange the order. So the fact that it came out 4th is like super, super bad. And again, like one little thing, your margin in this game is so tight that like that unluckiness of the Ani not being card 5 or 6 instead of it being 4, it could be enough to absolutely derail the rest of this game, because this being stuck here is just not good. So he comes out, so I can't use the explore action, and when he's at a defeat thing, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to draw. We have, that's a terrible card coming up next too. Woof. So I can't even get that. So, and I have no additional actions. Yeah, this is all going to be a disaster. So, what's going to happen though? Woof. This is really bad. I'm going to use the influence action. So that's 2. I'm spending this for 3, and I'll leave that. Yeah, I'll spend that for 3, and I'll spend the memory of honor for 4. That's going to stay there. We need to, there's an asterisk there, so we need to do both of those values. The keeper, we got to do one of those 2 values. The ani, we have to do both of them. So we cover up the 4. That is done. Now I don't have an additional action because I don't have, again, all the keys give you an additional action ability. I have 2 cards in my deck that give me occasional actions. I have not seen either of them. So, this is stuck here. Yeah, this is all bad. I'm going to tilt that. We get a +1. The Ani does 3 damage to my spirit, so I go from 19 down to 16. In the end phase, all this goes away into my discard pile, and then these guys ready. We go back to the threat. This is terrible. Exhaust 1 action when played. Well, fantastic, kids. That's the Cutthroat. I'm going to exhaust the Explorer because I can't use it anyway. Exhaust is not used, so it doesn't move over to the 1. It just exhausts in place. And then I'm going to draw 1 card. It is the Memory of Law. Man. I think I need to kill the Ani. So I'm going to exhaust the fight. I'm going to use the fight, right? That exhausting was a turn. I'm actually going to use the fight action. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Memory of Law gives me a spirit back. And I'm going to spend 1 of these for 7. I'm going to move these into the 1 spot. That 7 was enough to defeat the Ani. Now, additionally, the Memory of Strength says ignore spirit cost of -2 this round. So I'm going to ignore the spirit cost of the Cutthroat, putting that as a reminder. I did the 7 to the Ani, so the Ani's defeated, which gets me up to 18 health. Now I still can tilt one thing. I can't tilt the Explorer action because it was already, oh shit. Sorry about that. Woo! Little bit of a disaster. Is that good? What? This is, yeah, it's fine. I had this zoomed in a little bit more, but that's fine. It looks fine on the camera. So I can't, something got changed up, but I think that looks good. I can't, so I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? So I ignored that. I can now move this. Oh yeah, you can't tilt something that's exhausted, so I'm just going to have to tilt the influence action and put that there. We go to the spirit phase. The Cutthroat is being ignored. Now it has to be exactly a 2. If that had -1, it's not up to 2. It's like literally 2. So that's ignored. And then we go to the end phase. These all go into my discard. Woof and woof. Not necessarily a bad whoop. So that kind of worked out better than I feared. We'll see if we can't kill the Cutthroat this turn, which would be super good. So we're at 18 health. And again, the fact that I forgot, the fact that I had the Memory of Strength was a huge, huge card for me right there. We're going to go to the threat phase. We have the Explorer. So she's a Deja. Scout defeat. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and rearrange them in any order. Now she needs 7 Influence or 8 Explorer to defeat. She's super annoying, but only has a spirit cost of 1. So we might keep her around for a little bit. I really want to get a key. I have gotten nothing that gives me special abilities yet. Oh, I should draw a card before I forget. Booyah! We have the Memory of Poison. Gain a spirit, and then you could gain +2 to an Explorer action. So again, this is the 6th card that came off the game, the deck in the game. I've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards over the round of the game. This gave me 2 more cards. 1, 2. I feel like I'm missing cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I forget to draw last turn? I've taken 4 actions, which means I've only done, oh no, I've taken 4 actions, which means I've only drawn an extra card once, but then this gave me 2. I've taken 5 actions. No, 4 actions. Extra card once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So I can account for 9 cards. I took 4 actions. I took 4 actions and drew an extra card once, and that gave me 2. Yeah, so 9 makes sense. The math, it's hard to explain how my brain works, but just making sure I drew all the cards I needed to, because I felt like I have no cards. But I used that combine action, which is one real fast way to burn through some cards. All right, I like to defeat the cutthroat because it's gross, and I might have to do it a very unusual way because I just don't want to lose 2 health around from him. So what I'm going to do is, and we're done with this. Is the last card in the first fifth of the deck. So now we go to another 6 cards, and there's going to be 1 key in there, but another Ani. So the Ani is like super problematic. So maybe I don't combine. Woof. Yeah, I'm not totally loving where we're at right now. So I'm going to do the explore thing. I'm going to do the once around flip. Again, this is an upgraded action card. No other card has this ability because I haven't upgraded. This is the only one I've upgraded so far. So I'm going to upgrade this action. I'm going to do the flip ability, which gives me 5 of these tokens, and that's a once a game thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to use this action to do the key of sight. So the key of sight has an explore value of 6. I had 3, 4, 5, 6, but don't forget the keys have locks on them, so we need a 7th one, which is super fun. This guy goes over here. Done. I could do another action with the key of sight now because it has a turn to use 1 additional action, and then a flip ability, which can be super nice. Except for the scenario, the vignettes that decide you can't use that for some reason. I'm actually gonna take the Archfiend out of here for now to give me more room for these keys, and we'll take the portal off of here as well because the keys are gonna get a little crowded for sure. All right, so that's fine. I'm gonna tilt the fight action. I have +2 to that. I definitely need to get rid of him. It is what it is, and I'll just get another one on the fight action. So I was thinking about I could combine this to kill the cutthroat, but I think that's a bad idea because I know an Ani might be coming out in the next card, and I want to be ready, and I don't want to use my 1 additional available action until I know where the Ani is in the deck. All right, so that's done. I'm going to lose 1, 2, 3 spirit. I go from 18 down to 15. The end turn, we go here. We're going to go to the next threat. Bam, it is the Ani. It's a 7/5 because that's super reasonable. I'm going to draw a card. It's the Veil of the Memory of Veil, which is awesome. The Ani would do 3 damage to me again. I don't want that to happen. So we're going to have to try to kill him, and it's going to be super painful. So I'm going to use the influence action. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5, 6. So I'm definitely spending this. I get a spirit. Yeah, I get a spirit, and then I am going to combine again, which is just nuts. But so they combine a 2 and a 1 for a 1. That's 7 influence. That does 1 damage. It damages half the Ani. Then I'm going to use the key of sight, which is going to give me another action. I'm going to exhaust the fight action. That does 5. That kills the Ani. So the cutthroat's going to hang around for a while. Unfortunately, I get 1 spirit back. Oh, when the Ani gets destroyed, you're supposed to move a thing from one thing to another. I'm pretty sure I forgot to do that last time. Maybe I didn't. I don't know if I even had. I don't think I had +1s when I killed him the first time. And if I did, I could have just placed it on later. It is what, again, there's a lot of there's a defeat, move 1 power token to a different action. Again, I don't thematically, I'm sure there's reasons for all this, but it feels like layering on of things just to layer on things in a way that I don't love. So I have to move this to another action. I will move it to the fight action. So if I forgot to do that before, I might not have had any tokens to move. If I did, I forgot to move it. Assume I could have made up for it on the next turn, and I'm sorry. Send complaint letters to, again, Solo Playthroughs Philadelphia. We're going to tilt that to get that. I lose 4 more spirit, though, so we're down to 14. Did I get the 1 spirit for defeating it? I'm pretty sure I did. So I lost. Yeah, I was at 19, lost 3, got 1, lost 3. That should be right. All right. End phase. These all go to my discard pile. I have no cards in hand, which is super awesome. And now we go to the next threat. Please be the key. It is not. It's the principal. Yeah, this game is over. I draw the memory of knowledge. I can't attack another Deja until I kill her. This game is silly. It's just really hard in a way that doesn't always get you going. I have no real answer. I mean, having to do the combine actions like I did just very much left me very vulnerable. I just don't have the cards in my hand to give me the power I need to really deal with any of these guys. So I'm going to exhaust. Yeah, I'm just losing 3 spirit around. I'm going to exhaust the influence action to draw a card. I get to use 1 additional action. Not going to be very helpful. I will tilt the fight action. For sure. I lose 5 spirit. I go down to 9. This comes up. I draw a card. It's the Explorer. Another -2. Yeah, this is super over. I'm restarting because this is... I can't deal with these threats. Everything's a -2. There's 2 healers in there, which I didn't get. I needed the other key, didn't come out in time to really let me catch my breath. I mean, reality is, I mean, I could move this here with the memory of knowledge. I could exhaust this. That gives me a 5. This comes out. I can destroy him with the 5. That gets me 11 because he's an anima, not a Deja. I can then do nothing. I mean, these are all like a 7, 7, 6, 8, 7 are the different values up there. Like, I have nothing more than a 4. I do have +2 to influence, so I can get that to a 4. I mean, if I use another action just to draw another card, it gives me a bunch of influence. I mean, I could add that. Oh, I can't even attack anything else like kill the principal when she's a 7. Awesome. At that point, I lose 5 spirit down to 6. Next threat would be a healer. That gets me up to 7. I can use my 2 memories. Oh, I draw a card. It is the Memory of Heaven. I can use that to get 2 health back. Gets me up to 9. Power token. I can use both of these guys to get me up to 7. I won't spend the token. That kills the principal. So finally I can attack the other Dejas. And then I can tilt the Explorer action. We take 4 damage down to 5. These go into my discard. Everything ready. Threat is hit that dude, which is awesome. Draw a card. I mean, I have this thing where I can just take one of these, and put them on the bottom of the deck, but that seems not great. It seems really not great, but we're going to do it anyway. So I'm going to take the Memory of Vision out to put this Explorer on the bottom of the deck. I can defeat nobody. We can draw a card with the Explorer action because we have the Memory of Vision. That's great. I'm going to tilt I'm going to use the Memory of Vision to... Nope, I won't. I'm going to tilt this and get a power. I lose 4 spirit down to 1. These ready. It's a key. That's fine. I draw a card. Great. I could tilt this. That's 5, 6, 7. We've killed him. We took the top card, move it from the game. It's one of the most important cards in my deck because that's super fun. And then I can use the Memory of Locust. I can use this 4 to kill the healer. When the healer is defeated, I get a spirit back. Yeah, losing the Memory of Sorrow is not good. It allows me actually just to put something right back in the deck. So if you put the healer back in the deck, every time she goes out, you get another health. I can tilt this, get 1. And then, oh, and after you use that, I do add a power token to any other action. I will add it to the fight. We lose 1 spirit down to 1. I could actually, once this is, you can flip this, but you want to turn it first, obviously, to get the extra action. So I could flip this, add another one here. This comes off. These ready. Threat. Then the other one of those dudes, draw a card. It's the Memory of Knowledge. That's not going to matter. I could spend 2 of these to get me a 5 to put this over here. I can do another action, but it's not going to be enough. Maybe. I'll do this. Another action. Draw a card. My deck is empty. We reshuffle it. It's that. Of course, I did not. Doesn't give me what I need. And I can't even combine. And I have no more additional actions anyway, so it doesn't matter. I mean, this, I could actually exhaust this to get another thing here, but I have no more actions. So that was going to give me, I mean, I can gain a spirit with this to get to 2, but I'm going to lose 3. So we're dead. Restart. Let's see if it goes better. Super. Again, like, it just snowballs. If you don't get the right cards at the right time, like, you have to shuffle so many decks, luckily, to really have a shot. And to have 4 threats stacked that, in the way that they did was just really gross. All right. Chat. I find this game really difficult. I got stuck on Vignette 5, left for a year, then got stuck on 6. Haven't got the table in at least 4 months. Yeah, dude. There's something just, it's like it was just, again, it just feels like it's a playtesting issue. Like something got lost in the development of this game, and I really struggle with that. If you look at like a game like, again, Gluma Killforth, which I know people don't like for various reasons, like I actually really like that game. That just feels tuned, right? This is just not, it's so difficult for the sake of being difficult at times that, I don't know. I mean, and you can't give us, you have to create some randomness in the deck. I get that. But the randomness in, the order that these threats come out, the randomness within, like, the Anis, again, you have the Ani, their fight value is going to go 5 to 7, and their influence value is going to go 4 to 7. That's a huge difference. If you get a 7/5 Ani on the first turn of the game, just, again, you're just totally done. Like, you don't have a chance. Like, it's not, an opinion is, oh, maybe you'll get lucky, or maybe you'll get your health back. Like, you just won't. There's not enough rewards to justify the difficulty, and it's frustrating. It's like, it just makes it for, like, again, I don't mind losing. I do mind feeling like I never had a chance. I do mind feeling like the game's so not balanced, it's so unbalanced that, like, you can't even get 10 minutes into the gameplay, with it being interesting, right? Like, my last game off camera was, like, actually really close. It came down to the end, and then, of course, one of those guys was out who said I couldn't use my combined power, which I'm like, why can't I do combined power? Like, that's really dumb. Like, that's a big part of your game. You don't do it often. There's nothing, you're limiting me in so many ways that after a while I'm like, all right, dude, like, you're just flexing right now in a weird way. It's like, weird flex, bro. Like, I don't, like, again, these locks are a perfect example. It's a weird flex. Like, why are you adding +1 to the explore values on a scenario that's a vignette that you already should have known was really hard? Because this is the first vignette that has 6 foes. That's a lot of freaking foes. They all require at least 2 actions. And then you throw in the Rangers, which we didn't even see any of those, which actually, if you defeat them, they bring someone back into play. Well, you're just never going to defeat them. It's not worth it, right? You're never going to have enough actions to be able to take out them and the person they bring back into play. So you just kind of like, they're just basically going to be a leech on your spirit for the rest of the game, right? Which is, it's weird. It's very weird. A lot of weird choices in this game that just add to the difficulty without adding to the gameplay, in my opinion, for sure. Agree. Gloomkill 4 is great, says Hexon. Yeah, it's so good. So good. Yeah, I'll get that back to the channel real soon. Real soon. But I digress. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, I'd like to get through the next. I mean, there's a lot of foes in Absolution. I'd like to get to the next 20, the next 11 vignettes, including this one. But there's a good chance that I give this like 2 more tries and then like quit. But like again, if you're happy with, like Brian mentioned a little house rule earlier that I think was smart. I mean, you could do a lot of things to make it easier, but I think again, this is it. Don't make me be a designer. Like if you're a designer, design a game that's like gonna be fair and balanced. Like, look, I'm an experienced gamer. I play a lot of games. Like I'm finding this so absurdly difficult. Like I can't imagine that's not a rather universal experience. But then you go online, like, oh, I beat it 3 times. You're like, are you playing by the right rules? Like, it makes me question. But if you're having fun, that's great, dude. But like, I really do think like, the levels of difficulty should be about like, hey, if you're playing on standard mode, one of these is flipped, and then we'd have the ability to gain a second one flipped, as it goes, or one of these actions you can make that a 3 into a 4. I mean, there's like, and then you could play harder. Like I wish the difficulty levels played with these things a lot more than this ribbon crap, which I'm always going to ignore because your game is way too hard for me to even take the ribbon stuff seriously. Like I'm just not. I'm just. It's just it's an extraneous part of the design that every time I see anything related to it, it just might as well be blank for me because I'm not gonna do it, dude. Like if you make me start throwing out ribbons and I have to restart, like I'm never gonna restart it. Like I'm not gonna. I don't want to play campaign vignette 1 through 8 again. Like if I could beat them while having a good experience and having close games and feel like, oh, maybe I'll lose once or twice as I go. But like if I try to do 1 through vignette 8 again, I'm gonna lose all my ribbons again. There's no there's no friggin' way, dude. It's too hard. It's way too hard. There is something to be said about the memory upgrades though. There's got to be an optimal build as you go through the memory upgrades. Like in some ways, you're probably better off blitzing to upgrade the 4th upgrade. Like your first 3 upgrades should be get Memory of Gloom. Discard up to 2 non-foe, non-key threats from play, then remove this card from the game. It's like that's super strong. Like forget the rest of these upgrades, just get to that. Like you're literally, so I have 9 upgrades going into this. My deck should not have 9 level 2 cards. My deck should have 2 of these and then whatever else, right? So there's definitely a way where it's like, hey, there's 20 vignettes. Maybe I'll just get the level 2 cards, then we'll go to level 3 and have a more gradual progression. I think that's absolutely probably the wrong approach. You should be getting the strongest cards in the deck, and then maybe that's where the gameplay comes in with the ribbon, because as you learn that, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, find this optimization puzzle where I can, find a way to beat the scenario starting with only 1 ribbon. Like good on you, dude, but that's not how I would prefer to play a game. I'd like a much more gradual progression. I almost was like there was like a rule where it's like you need 4 level 2 cards to get your first level 3 card or something like that. I'd rather, those kind of more gradual things. But like imagining Gloomhaven going from like a level 1, getting a level 5 card with your level 1 deck, right? Like it's a weird progression. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool, but yeah, like the fact. So Tristan, if somebody tweeted at me, I should try Nightmare mode, and I was like, oh, cool. And like, again, I got to level vignette 7 with Nightmare mode, and I was like, that's just impossible. Like, it's not fun. It's like a 1 in a million shuffle that would give me a chance to win vignette 8 or vignette 9 on a Nightmare mode. I think that's something I might actually try. If this goes bad, I might just actually totally reallocate my upgrades and do this one more time. Woo! It's really hot in here, man. Why is it so hot? Why is it so hot in my house? I don't. Just looking at the AC. Woo! All right. This will go here. Let's make it happen. The first thread of the game. Oh, awesome! Lose 2 spirit. It's gonna be super great. Can't. I I do wish all the 2 spirit things I think should be at the end, because in the beginning they're really brutal, but I guess in the end they would just stack too much. I'm going to draw a card in the draw phase. This is going to go over here. So Memory of Fear. I'm going to exhaust the explore action to draw another card. It's the Memory of Vision. Definitely not taking her out of the game. I'm going to add to the fight action. I lose 2 spirit. We go to the next round. Threat. It's an explorer. Again, don't mind her. She's only doing 1 damage to my spirit instead of 2. We go to the draw phase. We draw a card. It's the Memory of Knowledge. Woof. Um, I'm going to exhaust this to draw a card. It's the, there we go. Ignore spirit costs a 2 threat this round. They're both Deja, so this anima thing is not great. And then I'm going to add to add to the fight. We lose 3 spirit down to 15. All the stuff readies. We go to the draw phase. The threat phase is the other explorer. She's a lose 2. That's gross. But so threat phase, draw phase. It's my 5th card in my hand. It's the Memory of Redemption. I'm going to use the Memory of Knowledge to switch these. Maybe I shouldn't do that because I know the Ani's still in there. Yeah, the Ani's still in there. I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to use 1, 2 of these, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to defeat the Explorer, and it lets me ignore the spirit cost of -2 this round. This lets me look at the top 3 cards on my deck and arrange them in any order I want. I will take the Memory of Heaven for sure. So I put that on top. You'll see what that is in a second. Still don't have any ability to have a second action, which is super awesome. Woof. Yeah, it's not great. See what's next, if it's the Ani or the... Yeah, if the Ani comes out before the key again, that's just like really unfortunate. But, well, no, the key came out first last time, that's right. But I wasn't able to kill, right, the key came out, but I killed something else, and I wasn't able to, right, I wasn't able to backtrack for the key in time. I'm going to do the influence action here. We're only losing to 1 because of the Explorer. This goes down, we're down to 14 spirit. This comes out into my discard pile. These ready. We go to the threat. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's the 8er. Again, the keys. The fact that the 8 key can come out first when there's a 4, 5, 6, and 7 in there is not great. That's a really unlucky pull. God, it's so bad because then I can't even do that. I won't have any additional actions when the Ani gets out, which is going to absolutely smash my health. This is really bad. All right. Well, this is going about as bad as can be expected. I draw the Memory of Heaven. I'm going to discard that to get 2 health and a fight +1. I'm going to do this influence action. So 4, 5, 6, I get a health. 7, 8. So I don't need to spend this because I'm up to 8. This comes off. She's dead. I look at the top 3 cards of my deck, rearrange them in any order, still nothing to give me extra actions. And the Ani's probably going to be the next card, which is going to absolutely mean I can't use the Explore action again, which means I'm just going to restart. Like, it's just silly at this point. Yeah, it's not great. All right, I'm going to tilt this to get a +1. I lose 2 health down to 15. These go away. This readies. Threat. It's the Ani. Yeah, that's game. Woo! Yikes. Yeah, there's no point in playing that out. It's not realistic. Not realistic. My Explorer action was stuck again in there. I can't use it. Even if I could rearrange things, it just doesn't matter. Ani's going to survive at least 1 round. That's going to get me down to 10. Like, there's no give there. I'll go one more time with this deck. I'll probably rebuild off camera. But I think, you're seeing a level of frustration. That's just like, it's just unnecessary. There's no balance, man. These things are way too hard to come out in that order. I mean, 6, 6, 7, 8, 7. Like, there's nothing I can kill easily. At least the Cutthroat's only a 5. The healers are 4s. These guys are fine because you can just take 2 damage and they go away. So you're so reliant on these decks to come out right. Second Ani, third Ani. I'm trying to show the game off a little bit better because there are times where it's like a really fun, engaging playthrough, but this has just been 2 in a row where the cards have just come out in the absolute worst order. Bam! 2 times. Take 3, kids. Take 3. This is it. No matter what. No matter what. Yeah, we haven't even gotten into chapter 3, which is really bad. Really bad. That if it was not the 8 key, I would have been able to get the done the explore thing just by flipping this, but the 8 key was the only one I really couldn't do anything about, so that was unfortunate. Which just kind of left us again, which is why are the keys not in order? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, that just makes so much more sense to me thematically, and at least gives some more consistency across gameplay. The gameplay is so inconsistent in a way that, especially if I was playing rules as written, would just never be fun to me. Bam. And make sure I put the 8 on top again because it's super fun. 8. Shuffle these. Setup's fine. Setup's not like that annoying. So, like, it is one of those things, like, if you don't mind trying 30 times with the same vignette, you can definitely run it back pretty quick. I definitely triggers my, I don't feel like I can get a good shuffling on a deck of, on a small deck of cards. So it's like, but I'm not gonna roll it. I'm not gonna roll a die to roll down to get dice randomness here, like I would normally. Do 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 do. All right. Shuffle my 20 memories here. Remember, I did have the memory that would allow me to take one of those guys out of play, but, like, there are just better uses for it. And it's like one of those things, like having played this enough, like, well, if I use this here, it does this. I mean, it's like you're just gonna get smushed later, so you just gotta hope that something else works out. That is a card I'm almost inclined to use more for its combined value early. Um, if I can get another two, especially, but we'll see. Threat, is it the Ani? No. Oh, it's a changer. That's actually really good. Draw phase. So the changers is annoying. Place the changer, put top Deja in the discard pile back into play. But if there is no other Deja in the threat discard pile, you can kill her early. That's fantastic. So that's a very good sign for me. Now if the Ani comes up next, that would be a very bad sign for me. So we'll see how the shuffle went. I'm going to draw a card with the Explore action. That's fine. And then we're going to do this. We're going to lose one spirit because of her. And now we go to the next phase. Everything resets. It don't be the Ani, please. Excellent. The Keeper. Add one memory from your discard pile back to your hand. That could also be really strong. We're going to go to the draw phase. What is it? It is the Memory of Vision. A little bit too early for you, but I can use you for your combined value. And we have a thing that gives me a second action, which I really like. But I gained. It's fine. They both only have a spirit cost of 2. This isn't the worst. I'm going to use the Explore action again. I need to get up to a 5, but I don't want to. I could discard the Memory of Vision and this. Get rid of the Changer. But that puts my influence all the way over here with nothing. So if the Ani comes out, I'm not even going to be in place to deal with it anyway. Woof. Yeah, I'm going to draw a card. It is the Memory of Poison. So again, I've gotten a bunch of Explore early. We'll see if the key comes up before the Ani, that could be good. I'm going to add this. We're going to do Cleanup. We lose 2 spirit. We're down to 7. 1 spirit for each of those guys. Next card, it is the Ani. And it's the 5/6. Draw phase, I draw a card. So I have a bunch of influence now, but I won't have the fight I need. But I could combine these two. So that works. So I'm going to, he's a 6. Great. So my first action is I'm going to use the influence action. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5 from this card. I'm going to spend 1, and now Ani is half the short. Now remember, I can't use the Explore action, but we're fine. We were definitely better set up, and I have the extra action, so this is helpful. So I'm going to use additional action. Bam. I'm going to use the fight action. That's +3. I'm going to now combine the Memory of Vision and the Memory of Poison. This moves over, so that gives me up to 5. That kills the Ani. That gives me +1 health. Plus, after I use that, I can add a power token to any action. I'll add a power token to the Explore action, the influence action, and then I can tilt this to do this. All right. We lose 2 spirit, 1 for each of those 2 that are out there. This goes into my discard. So first card on my discard. These also go into my discard. Everything else ready. So that was a much better sequence. And I feel like we're in a much stronger spot. Right. So getting rid of the Ani in 1 turn and having things that aren't punching me for 2 a thing. Now foes come out of the game when you defeat them. Threats go into the discard pile. Veilwraith is going to go threat. Oh. Well, could have been worse. Could have been better. We go to the draw phase. It's another influence thing. I have to kill the changer first anyway. The next card is, no, we still haven't seen the key. Okay. I'm going to exhaust this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We defeated the changer. Now, if there was a Deja in the discard pile, we have to pull it out, which we don't. And I'm going to tilt you. For that, I lose 3 spirit. We're down to 13. The next one's definitely the key because it's the 6th card, and nope, there's 2 cards left in the top chapter. These ready. This goes in my discard pile. I've done 3 actions. I had an additional action. So this is good. That was 4 turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I drew 2 extra cards. That's right. All right. Cool. Getting the memory, the whatever the thing that allows me to draw 2 extra memories is going to be important at some point. So threat phase. It's the principal. I have to kill her for any other Deja. This has just been. It's again like you get lucky to start, and then it's just like all of a sudden it just goes to crap. Like, so the key is next. I haven't seen the key yet. The key coming out early gives you like a breather, right? I haven't seen it. So like all the order of all this crap is bad. Oh, plus I can't combine things. So now I have a 6, 7, 7, 8. Yeah, it's just not reasonable. Like none of this is reasonable. And I want to keep this here because I know the key's coming out. So we're going to exhaust this. We're going to draw a card. And now, like, I got further away from killing the Jokers. I had to use this. I know I have to leave this there for the key. The key will give me an extra action, but then we're going to be in chapter 2, so careful. But I have to kill that before I kill anything else anyway. So I need the influence. I'm going to get 1 on the influence. Great. I lose 5 spirit. We go from 13 down to 8. We draw a card. Threat phase. Hey, extra prize, kids. It's the key. I draw a card on the draw phase. It's the Memory of Heaven. I'm going to use the Memory of Heaven to get 2 health. Add 1 to the fight. Ah, shoot. I don't think I had any +1s anyway, but if I did, I always forget to friggin' move that stuff. I don't like that wrinkle. It's just one of those things. All right. It's a 7. I'm going to flip this to get up to 5 tokens. 5 extra tokens, so it's added 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to now do this action. I'm going to add this. So I need 8 because it's +1 because that's reasonable. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've defeated that. Still can't get to a 7, which is really awesome. So I'm going to tilt this. That comes out. I lose 5 more spirit. We're down to 5. This goes here. These come out. Next, it's another principal. So if I can kill the keeper, I can get the card that just puts them out. I also have the Memory of Sorrow, which lets me put a thing back on the deck, which I haven't seen in multiple turns. And now, I mean, how does that? I'm assuming I can kill 1 principal at a time, like without that mattering. But I haven't gotten, I think, the reorder. Yeah, it's just been an absolute disaster. So 4, 5, 6, 7. We kill the principal. I still can't kill anything else until I kill this other principal now. I'll use an additional action to put this over here. Let me draw a card. I'm looking for the Memory of Sorrow. It didn't come out. I can get this, but then I'm going to lose. Oh, and then I could flip this over to get a spirit because that's its flip ability. And I could put another thing on here. I lose 5 health. I'm down to 1. This comes out. Threat phase. It's the cutthroat. It's over. He makes me exhaust the thing when he arrives. I draw a card. It's not the Memory of Sorrow, so haven't seen that in 3 games. I can use the Memory of Law. So that's 5, 6 to kill the prince. Oh, wait. I can't kill the cutthroat because the stupid principal's still out there. And I don't have, yeah, I don't have nearly enough. I don't have any. I I don't have enough influence. Like I can't do it. I'm just gonna get smushed. So that's it. I gave it 3 tries. I can see it coming together where you can win this with this deck, but it would take. The fact of the matter is, like, this hasn't been my experience that this is an unusually hard vignette. All these vignettes can be super hard and super annoying. And it's like it started off great. I had the right cards that came out, and like I felt it was good. And then 4 cards in a row, we had the Ani, a 7 key, which is a lot worse than like a 4 or 5. And then it was like exhaust the card, you're gonna lose 2 spirit. Exhaust the card, oh, you're gonna lose 2 spirit, you're gonna lose 2 spirit, you're gonna lose 2 spirit. Oh, and you can't combine. Like, and oh, and you need to kill those 2 first. It's just an absolute gross arrangement of cards. Yeah, the explorer, like that. This is the explorer that you lose 2 spirit. This is the key. It's only a 4 that could have been helpful. Another guy you can't combine. He's got 8. If you're telling me I can't combine and I need 8 fight, that's just an absurd combination. That should be a 4 or 5. Like, you cannot. They're going to be out there for so long. Like, it's absolutely gross. This is just you get this card at the wrong time. It's just the automatic you lose card. The only time I almost beat this scenario, both of these were near the bottom of the deck, and it was the only thing that gave me a chance. And then of course it came out, and I could have won by going through the portal, but I couldn't go through the portal because I needed to combine stuff to get the explore value, and they prevented my combining. It, I yeah, man, I really struggled with this game. Because I like so much of what it does. I find it really addictive to play. And then you hit, like, once I got into Absolution, like 6, 7, 8, 9 just really sucked the joy out of it. Just like, because it's just too hard. Without getting into absolute min-maxing deck building-y, like, I just feel like it wasn't tested enough with enough people. And again, I do wonder if it was they find it too easy, and then they made a bunch of changes last minute, and then they published it, and all of a sudden they just and then they just didn't realize how much the tweaks were making this like impossibly hard. I'm missing a key somewhere. I don't even know. Where is the key? Why is someone calling me from Harrisburg? I'm definitely missing a key. Oh, here it is. The key of love. Not only any key, I was missing the key of love. So that's that. Another a triple defeat. Um, I it's hard if you're not ready. If you're like me and you really hate tweaking things to make them the experience you want, like, this is a hard. It's went from an easy recommend for me when I just played the base game because I thought it was super interesting. It just felt a little incomplete, to like a much harder recommend, and I hate saying that. Like, I really genuinely do, but I think I feel a little easier saying it more bluntly now. Like, having 3 gameplays where I was like, you just don't really have much of a shot, and unless you just love like shuffling decks and recreating them over and over and over again. I think out of fairness to the game, I probably will just try to radically build a different deck, and see how that changes the experience of it. But that, I think, you know, would raise other concerns about the game for me, right? But if you're like Brian said earlier, hey, just every time you just start with these, if you did this and like this, like the fact that you're giving me these enemies and I haven't had a chance to upgrade any of these tokens yet. That's not. There's something weird about that to me, because you just made it too hard. Like, and that's tough. And I am surprised. Like, I've looked on BGG, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people talking about just how brutally difficult the game is. Um, So I don't know whether that's just like an age thing or whatever. I mean, Tristan is awesome in that he's been really active. There aren't many rules. Well, one of the things I will say, I mean, that I really appreciate, there aren't many rules conundrums. Like, these are the rules. Um, Again, my concerns with the game is more of like, just why did you give me these enemies with 6 foes and the +1 to explore, and felt like that's a balanced game experience when I, in theory, have limited lives. Just a little bit too much. So that's that. We'll be back tomorrow. Probably gonna do Maze Night tomorrow. I haven't officially scheduled it yet, but I think Maze Night will be a good go-to, kind of get the the bad taste of this out of my mouth. We're gonna do a Krang in the Hidden Valley. Rest of the week, I'm hoping to get a Sky Tier Horde on the channel, which would be fun. And Black Sonata should be on the channel. Not sure about Friday yet. I was going to try to get Darkest Night 2nd on the channel again before I did Gloom at Killforth sometime next couple weeks, but I don't think that's totally reasonable. So stay tuned for that. I might try to get like one deck dungeon together or something like that. I got a couple of small box games I'm hoping to feature pretty soon. Thank you for an awesome chat, especially early. Super curious, Kanji and Kanazu. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Just definitely curious about thoughts and things that you would do differently, things you found in this game that maybe I'm just missing. I actually was getting so thoroughly walloped that I was like, I have to be missing a rule, right? Because that's not a normal experience for me at this point in my gaming life, right? So I'm like, I read the rule book again. I'm like, am I missing anything? No, I'm just not. Like, there's just a lot of randomness in how all the decks are built, and you just gotta hope you're getting lucky. And for some people, that's going to be the game experience they want. And I don't mind some of that in my games. Make no mistake. I just don't like when it's overshadowing the rest of the game to the extent that it does in Veilwraith. But the art's cool, the themes, the ideas are cool, the table presence is cool. This mat is freaking awesome, but unfortunately, I just think it's a little bit too much miss, and that miss, uh, you know, had they never sent me the expansion, I'm probably like, again, soft recommend, and now I'm just like, buyer beware, proceed with caution, and that's a weird transition, um, you know, for a game. So I digress. Such is life. It is what it is. But questions, comments, epiphanies, put them in the comment section below. I'll be back tomorrow. Hope everybody has a fantastic day, and until next time, happy gaming.
Solo.